Hello, Fiedelbogen here. To my fellow workers in the vineyard, worldwide, greetings. So, can there be a world without gynocentrism? Today I'd like to talk about the post-feminist question, which you might as well call the gynocentrist question, because in the end it all revolves around the question of gynocentrism. Gynocentrism means woman-centrism or woman-firstism, and the question we shall consider in our short talk is, what will be the fate of gynocentrism in a post-feminist world? And we live in a feminist world, by the way. We do not live in a post-feminist world. The post-feminist world is down the road a bit. We have a ways to go. All right. Traditional culture is gynocentric. Life is built around the protection and provisioning of women, and male disposability is the rule, even if men do assume leadership in the family and in political institutions. Feminist culture is also gynocentric, but with radical modifications. The outcome of these modifications is a whole new thing called gynonormativism. Gynonormativism is sort of like gynocentrism 2.0. Now, gynonormativism seeks to elevate women to moral and political supremacy over men, or what a feminist would call equality. Unlike traditional gynocentrism, gynonormativism gives first place to so-called female values in preference to so-called male values. Male disposability and what is loosely called chivalry would still operate under gynonormativism, but with a left-wing flavor. Feminism, as we currently experience it, is simply the campaign to realize gynonormativity. Look down in the low bar of the video and you'll find a link to a short article that will tell you more about the difference between gynocentrism and gynonormativism. So, a post-feminist world would need to be a world where feminism no longer operates. And, at the very least, that would mean a world where gynonormativism no longer operates. With gynonormativism deactivated, we would have a choice. We could either reboot traditional gynocentrism, along with chivalry and male disposability and all that sort of thing, or we could chuck all of that and live in a world of abstract, fungible, interchangeable humanity, transacting, competing, and jostling in the marketplace of life under the complicated social fiction that male and female don't really exist anymore. And that's a charade that wouldn't fool anybody for 5 minutes. All right? Now, what I describe here is a world that will never be. So instead, let's be real. Men and women are not interchangeable. They will never be interchangeable. If we kicked feminism to the curb, well and truly to the curb, men and women would soon form themselves back into natural patterns because the drive to propagate the species would trump everything else and impose its own unique and paramount set of demands. All right? But we have not yet spoken to the question of gynocentrism, which is the topic of the day. So, what would become of gynocentrism? Would men en masse happily go back to chivalry and male disposability and all that sort of thing? And would women en masse happily agree to be submissive housekeepers once more? in return for male protection and provisioning? Well, you know what? I reckon that plenty of men and women everywhere would happily do just what I have described. They would need no instructions. They would flow to it just as naturally as water would run downhill. It would just happen, spontaneously. Furthermore, we could not stop them, and we should not even try. However, in addition to all that, I am guessing that other men and women would make other arrangements. Are you with me? Just let your mind range freely over the field of possibilities, back and forth. These possibilities are limited only by your creative imagination. The question is not, will gynocentrism stick around or will it disappear? The question is, will gynocentrism govern everybody, right across the board, the entire culture, or will it simply govern those who would willingly submit to its governance? And would it leave others free to make alternative arrangements, non-gynocentric arrangements? Is gynocentrism optional? And is it possible to build a viable polity on such a foundation? Or would that be a house divided against itself? Well, I don't claim to have the answer, at least not yet. But I certainly did provide the question, didn't I? It's an important question, a key question, a question that won't go away. And it's enough to clarify the conversation and get us thinking in the right direction. Savvy? Fiedelbogen, out.